Hello, and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sarah, and I used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-size bed.
I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name.
Hello.
Hello. This one's coming out in the new year.
Yeah, happy 2026.
Happy New Year. Hope everyone had lovely holidays.
Sarah and I are recording this before the holidays. We're actually recording it like right before the last batch of documentary episodes come out because the holidays are crazy. So
yeah,
happy post Eras Tour documentary life. Like,
yeah.
I feel like we'll talk about the documentary, of course, but
yeah,
I just want to know what's next. I feel
did
like
you see the trailer that came out today? For the
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marjorie mentioned
we're all going to be crying on the floor once again. Like,
what is your plan for watching the last two episodes?
Well, it's coming out technically like tomorrow night. So, right? Or like the 23rd? Or is it tonight?
I think it's tonight, technically.
Well, then I'm watching it tomorrow because I have a half day of school and I'll probably reward myself by allowing myself to watch the documentary if I clean my house, you know?
Right.
Like that'll be my thing. What about you?
Tomorrow night my friend Steph is coming over and we're going to watch them together.
Oh, perfect. That's nice.
Yeah.
Luke has started watching the first episode while we were like eating dinner.
Oh,
but it only lasts like 15-20 minutes, so
yeah,
we've been like chunking through it. But I'll watch it by myself. It'll be fine. But
yeah. The two middle episodes, I was like struggling to find time to watch them the other day. I was like, should I watch it like on the treadmill at the gym? I was like, no, I need it. First of all, I need it on the big screen. Second of all, I need the freedom to cry.
Yeah, no.
Just like openly.
You have to be like in your peak, like nothing else is going on. I have a snack beside me.
Yeah.
I'm right in front of the TV screen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can rewatch at the gym, but first time
rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. Anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, what's on our plates before we get into our Taylor updates?
So last weekend I was in New York City with Josh, which was very fun. I had not been in New York City, I think, since like 2017 or 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. And honestly, being there, I was like, this is a bit much for me.
It is very overstimulating, for sure.
But we were also right in the like Times Square, Rockefeller Center area.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God, especially with it being like Christmas time, like the one night we were walking to an event and we made the mistake of going straight down our street, which goes right by Rockefeller Plaza and the Christmas tree and everything.
Yeah.
And they have that one block blocked off to cars. So it's just pedestrians and it's fully the entire street and both sidewalks are just gridlocked pedestrian traffic. So we're trying to like pass through and you're just like standing there inching your way along like you're in a literal traffic jam of human beings.
Dude.
So like we should have just taken a slight detour and not gone that way, but it was too late. Once we were in it, we were in it.
Yeah.
But it was cool. We were there for a political event. Well, several political events for Josh. But that Saturday I did get to like walk around and do my own thing. Mm-hmm. So I got like my 20,000 steps in. I rode the subway one time. I went on a wild goose chase for eyeshadow that didn't result in anything.
I know, such a bummer.
It's okay. But I got pop-up bagels at your recommendation. Laura, so like their minimum order is the 3 bagels, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they messed up my order, but they gave me an extra bagel. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
I ate all 4 of those bagels in a 36-hour time.
They're so good, especially hot.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
oh
Just
my
like,
gosh.
and it's great too for walking around, like just having
Yeah.
this tub of cream cheese and like a hot bagel
Ripping.
that you're just like
Yeah.
dunking into the cream cheese.
So good.
So that was great. Another highlight was I really wanted like a soupy hot chocolate. Like
Mm.
I am a real snob when
Like
it
a
comes to hot
melted
chocolate.
chocolate bar hot
Yeah.
chocolate.
Like
Yeah.
if it doesn't taste and feel like melted chocolate, I'm not interested. Like don't
Yeah.
give me this watery.
We're not doing Swiss Miss.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. So I was like, I really want something like that for like walking around at some point.
Yeah.
And I was walking between destinations at one point, happened to pass by this like Danish bakery cafe place called Ole and Steen, and they had a sign out on the sidewalk for their hot chocolate. And it comes in like a short little cup, so you know it's intense. And it
Yeah.
has like a homemade vanilla bean marshmallow on it. I saw this picture and I was like, that's it.
That's the one.
So I immediately went
That's the one.
inside and got one. And of course, it was like $10. But it was everything that I wanted. So I got to sip on that while I walked down Broadway. There were like really good carolers outside of the one store. There was fake snow being pushed out onto the street from one of the windows of the buildings. So it was like a magical Christmassy
New
weekend in
York.
New York.
Yeah. Love
So that was
that.
nice. We went to a black tie event, like a dinner at the Waldorf,
Fancy.
which was crazy.
Very fancy. Now, did you stay at the Waldorf or did you stay nearby?
Oh my God, no.
This is a political event. I have no idea what they're comping.
Oh my God, no. No, no, Josh had to pay for our hotel and stuff.
I was gonna
The
say.
Waldorf is like $12,000 a night.
When you're like, we're staying by the Waldorf, I was like, does that mean she's staying at the Waldorf?
No.
Like, my brain was like, maybe this is like a stay for like political people. Like, you never know.
I wish. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
No, we stayed in like a small Marriott that was right next to where Book of Mormon was playing.
Okay. Yeah.
In the like theater district area or whatever. So, I mean, it was like a shoebox hotel room, compared to like
it always is when you're in New York. Like, come on, you're paying $300 for like a twin size bed in like,
it was like
Midtown.
$600 a night.
Yeah.
It got the job done, but like because then we were in New York for the weekend, and then we immediately had to go to like Harrisburg for a few days. And our hotel in Harrisburg that we always stay at, we were in like a full-blown suite this time. Like a suite being like, it's just got the extra like couch area.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it would have been nice to have this room in New York City. But that room was like the size of a New York City apartment.
Right.
But it's just funny because also that was like $80 a night.
Right. Right.
Harrisburg.
Right.
But yeah, so that was my little adventure in New York City. It was
fun.
Stressful getting into the city with the traffic and stuff, but once we were there, it all worked out.
The trick is to take the Amtrak. Like,
we're going to have to we can't do Amtrak from Allentown.
Yeah, Allentown's a little tricky because you don't have an Amtrak line running.
I think we'd have to drive to like Secaucus and get on the New Jersey
I've done
Transit.
I've done that.
I think that's going to be our move next time.
Yeah, I've done that. I'm living in like Harrisburg, Lancaster area. It's so nice that the train just like runs to Philly and then Philly from New York. Like if that line ever stops, I'll be devastated because it really does make New York City accessible. If we had an easy train line, which there should be a train line from Allentown to New York City, like I'm sure I would go so much more often. Yeah. Because like Luke and I, for last couple of years of our anniversary, we're like, let's just go to New York for like one night. Mm-hmm. And we just take the Amtrak up, spend one night. And that's like, we've spent enough money. Right. Let's come home. Right. But it's been really nice. It makes it really accessible. It feels like you're like going, to Philly or something. But yeah, I really am going to add that hot chocolate recommendation to my list because I think Luke and I are going to do our baby moon in New York. So yeah, I've started on my map. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I love a Danish bakery. Come on. Yeah. It was all like hygge stuff. Yeah.
It had vibes. You'll like
Love
it.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of vibes, my vibe right now, I think my like nesting hormones are starting because yesterday I had a free day. And you're thinking, a free day before the holidays. She's resting. She's
Right.
she's wrapping presents. No. I decided to clear out everything in our laundry room, which has basically become our house's dumping ground. It's like, we don't know where to put it in the laundry room. Took everything out of every nook and cranny.
Yeah.
And basically made a toss, a donate, or a keep pile, or attic pile. Because, like, we have so many kitchen appliances.
Yeah.
Which comes with the territory of being a foodie and, loving to cook.
Right.
But, like, so many things that, like, we'll use once a year, tops.
Right.
Or, like, a meat grinder that I got for a recipe years ago. Haven't touched it. And it's all just been sitting there. And with the amount of stuff that's about to come our way, I was like, we got it now. So I was like, I'm spending the next 6 hours. I'm taking everything out. I'm wiping it down. Luke's running up and down to the attic. I donated a bunch of boxes, but that laundry room is organized and labeled.
That feels so good, though.
It's kind of addictive. And now I'm like, where do I go next? I know you know this feeling because you love an organized drawer.
I do.
And like a closet.
That was me like this past January with getting this house organized. Like, and it's still my drawers. Every time I open them, I'm just like, oh.
No, I know. I go into the room and I'm like, look at all this space that I have. So next on my list is the kitchen at large. We have a lot of drawers that are just like junk drawers of like kitchen appliances. That's gotta go. Our pantry, our like linen closet, our bathrooms. There's so many things, but it is addictive. So I might do that
January is like
too.
the perfect time for that too. So lean into it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
so if anyone else is feeling the new year like itch to clean, I feel you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been waiting for this sort of like to kick in because I know that sort of happens. But I feel like it's starting. So yeah. Also, you and I exchanged Christmas gifts. So
we
Sarah
watched
and I,
the first 2 episodes of the docuseries at my parents' house.
We waited to watch the first 2 together. At Sarah's parents' house.
It's like, hey, mom and dad, we're going to crash.
We're going to the basement.
TV. And of course, it was like classic trying to figure out technology at your boomer parents' house.
Right. Because, of course, like your parents don't have the like smart TV or like Apple TV or like whatever that
like
we're used to.
Chromecast wasn't working with Disney Plus downstairs. Then we had to steal the Roku from the living room.
Yeah.
And
we got it together
all
though.
Like, how do we do this? Yeah.
But I got Sarah a blank space cake ornament from Taylor Swift's website and a Tortured Poets like little memo pad for her to put on her desk.
Yeah, I have it right here.
So yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. And do you want to talk about what you got me? I should have worn it today. I forgot to put it on.
It's okay. So I got Laura this sweatshirt from Etsy. And we'll link to it. The shop name is called Urban Daze Apparel, and Daze is spelled Daze. And I found her shop because she actually sent sweatshirts, I think, to the girls on the Taylor Watch podcast. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, she has some Taylor stuff. I'll check it out. And I liked her one sweatshirt, which it's like a song title with the artist name. And then what would you call that, Laura?
It's like the play button with like the fast forward, the rewind, like.
Yeah, like almost like on an old school like iPod.
It's like what you see at the bottom of your phone when you're like about to start a song, you know?
So like the timestamp, and then it has like a play button and like a forward and like shuffle and like that kind of thing. And so I got it for Laura with I hate it here. And we even have the timestamp at the exact point where Laura's favorite lyric starts.
Which is so great. What a great gift.
Yeah. So, but the seller's name is Bria. She's really awesome. So like on Etsy, you like message the person. So I told her like, hey, I actually heard about you on Taylor Watch and I have a Taylor podcast as well. And this is a gift for my co-host. So then she so kindly threw in a little something extra for us, which is mugs that have friendship bracelets on it that say blank plate pod.
So
And
cute.
I do have mine.
I forgot that as well. It's downstairs.
So
we have merch, you guys.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see a cute mug she sent us.
It's so cute. Yeah.
So I just wanted to shout her out. We will link to the sweatshirt that I got Laura.
Yeah. So listen, if you have a Swiftie friend who loves a certain song and like ask them what their favorite lyric is, figure out what the timestamp is. It's like a personalized gift. It's like, if you know, you know. So also I love that mine is I hate it here because like, if you don't know that's a Taylor Swift song, like you'll be like, are you okay? Like what's going on?
Right. And her printer did flag it for like copyright with Taylor Swift being on it. So Laura's sweatshirt just says TS for the artist.
But again, if you know, you know. So.
But again, it's kind of like a subtle Taylor Swift merch. But yeah, if someone's a real Swiftie, they're going to know that I Hate It Here is a Taylor Swift song. So
yeah.
That was fun.
Well, we already sort of got into the documentary, but like, let's just round up some of our favorite moments from the last 4 episodes. Yeah. First of all, episodes 1 and 2, our first batch. Okay. Vienna is covered. Okay. And like, I just have to say,
immediately,
we got not a lot. We got a few commenters that were like, do you really think she's going to comment on a terrorist plot? I was like, yes. She's not going to be giving inside information, but how could she not address this? Hello.
I know. The one comment was like, do you really think she's going to disclose government secrets? And it's like, who ever said that? Like,
yeah.
What?
That's not what we were asking for. We're literally just like, this was a terrorist plot. Like,
it was the only shows that got canceled of the whole tour.
I have to say, Luke started watching episode 1. He was like, I feel like this is kind of the perfect place to start the documentary because as a non-Swiftie, he heard about the cancellation and the terrorist plot and like then the girls being hurt at the Taylor Swift dance party. Right. From an outsider perspective, he was like, this sort of like hooks you into like trying to understand the impact of that from the artist's perspective in a way that like maybe Swifties would just be like, of course we're going to wonder about her. But like an outsider is just like, no, I'm curious. Like, how does this affect everything?
I think that first episode with the gravity of that topic also kind of showed like the magnitude and scale of the tour and like the impact of the tour that it even had something like that happen. But it also was like an interesting way to frame like the way the tour acted in the world for like Swifties as a place to escape everything else in the world, you know, and the way like the community came together so much, the way the tour itself was so much bigger than anyone ever expected. Yeah. And a lot of that was the community. So to have these horrible events affect the tour. Yeah. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like it was an interesting way to kind of show all like those sides of it.
It perfectly sort of in a very succinct way summarized everything you just talked about. The girlhood, the like momentum that happened with friendship bracelets and, you know, cities becoming like Swiftie, like, you know, it just became more than just like a concert. Yeah. And they did a great job illustrating that, but also the impact of like how devastating these attacks were and the impact it had on Taylor. I mean, like we saw her total human side. I mean, she literally puffy eyes, explaining in London, we dodged a massacre. Right. And you could see like she was wearing that on her sleeve because the great example of I can do it with a broken heart with her metaphor of I feel like I'm on thin ice. I worry about, you know, like, but I can't show that because if I show that, then they're going to start to get worried. So,
yeah. And I think like it's unfortunate she had to feel that way, but I think she's right that if she showed any kind of crack on stage about feeling unsafe, then everyone there will feel unsafe.
Exactly.
And it can cause panic. And she knows that she's there to entertain and to provide an escape. And she does it very well. And, I had said that I wanted to see emotion from Taylor because, like I said, as much as she is relatable, I think like it does make her seem even more human to show those sides of her. But I was thinking about like by seeing that part of her where she like breaks down backstage, or like when she was trying to talk about the knife attack with the little kids, and she can't even say it, and then she whispers like to someone off camera, she says, I have a hard time describing it.
Yeah.
And then it just like cuts, like she doesn't even get a chance to explain it. So like it shows her human side, but at the same time, it makes her seem like even more superhuman because you realize how much she had to push down all those times that she performed. Like I was shocked to learn that before all 5 of the London shows, she met with the families of the victims beforehand.
Before the shows.
Before the show. And she was like in full makeup and stuff. And like, I don't know. I mean, she said, of course, we didn't see that part. But she said when she was breaking down beforehand, she's like, I'm not going to do this in front of them.
Right. Because,
like she wants to make sure that they don't feel the need to comfort her in that moment.
Right.
But like, this is where like, I don't have that kind of control. Like if I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry.
This is why like her poetry that she wrote about Life of a Showgirl hits harder, because we really do see this is what a showgirl does. It's a mess. It's chaos. Your whole life is falling apart. I mean, later she talks about 2 breakups while the Eras tour is going on. Doesn't matter. No matter what's going on, like it's a show. She's a showgirl. The show will go on, and she is the captain of the ship, and she is going to rise above it. And like, I just give her so much props for sharing that so openly. Of course, like, and very graciously, without making it a huge spectacle of, I think it was perfectly done.
Yeah.
And besides the tragedy, I mean, we really did see an inside look, not only at the process of dreaming up what the Eras tour was going to look like, but we got to hear so many stories of the people involved in the show besides Taylor. And I love this. Like, I feel like some people might think, oh, like, I don't know, like, I just really want to hear about Taylor. I love hearing about Cam. I love the Wiley of it all. Like, I just, all these stories make it seem like it's not about her. It's about everyone involved in the show.
And it's true, because the Eras tour is not just about Taylor.
No.
There were so many other people involved. And I mean, that's a through line throughout the whole thing. And what we've seen her team say about her, like her dancers, her backup singers, is the way that it's always like we. It's not like the Taylor Swift show.
Right.
She understands that even though her name is what brings people there, this show does not happen without everyone involved.
And she not only knows that, but she also like wants to raise the stakes for everyone else in the industry. She's like, I want to set a precedent with this. Like,
right. Like with the bonuses.
Right.
Right. So we saw a clip of her handing out bonuses, and Cam reads the letter. The amount is bleeped out, although people speculate it was for $750,000.
Yeah.
But the thing was, there was a bonus day after each leg of the tour, and I believe there were 5 legs.
Yeah.
So that would have been one of 5 bonuses. Yeah. And as we learned, like Cam didn't even have money to fly to the rehearsal or the audition for the tour. His brother bought his plane ticket.
And it's so funny. Not only are we hearing about like how for Taylor, it's like when the show does well, we all do well. So many artists and management teams are not doing that. Like someone could take it upon themselves to think, well, it's because of me. So I'm taking the bonuses and I'm taking it. This is not how Taylor approaches it at all. And like, no wonder everyone wants to work for Taylor Swift. She treats
Right.
everyone so well. There's a loyalty factor. I mean, some of her bandmates have been with her since like 2007.
Right.
Insane.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
I know. And also her talking about wanting a diverse set of
yep.
dancers and how she wanted it to feel like every person on stage was a star in their own right. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if they pull focus from me. I want them to pull focus.
Yep.
And that is really what happened. Like, we got to
Yeah.
know all of her dancers,
Yeah.
you know, for their individual things. And a lot of people would not want that,
Yeah.
you know, and we saw that when they were rehearsing Florida
Mm-hmm.
with Florence, where she's like walking through it with Mandy Moore, the choreographer, and she sees what Mandy set up for all the other dancers to do. But then she's like, wait, but if Florence and I are here up front, no one's going to be looking at them. And
Mm-hmm.
they look amazing and I want people to see them. So put me and Florence up with the dancers so that they see all of us.
Right.
You know? And like,
right. And also, like, the amount of times she perfectly explained how, you know, a lot of people think that something like the Eras Tour is just like, oh, it just magically happened. Like, what is a phenomenon? There was so much masterminding that was happening years before we got to see it in concert.
mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw the rehearsals, we saw rock liddits, we saw like all the things of like all the different pieces moving
mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, which is incredible from like a production standpoint. Like, how do you even explain how intense that production level is? But even like adding one song, Florida, and how
Right.
much work that was,
mm-hmm.
really makes you appreciate how much time and effort is put into the whole thing.
Yeah. We also, in the first 2 episodes, got to see her with Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
Which I think it's really nice for her that Ed was there for the London shows, because before he shows up, she's like trying to decompress because her nerves are getting to her in like a physical way. And she like throws on her audiobook and
yeah,
just,
which
like,
by the way,
couch.
has been on my bedside table for like months, and
Really?
now I've actually started it. Yeah.
What's it called?
God of the Woods, which apparently now is skyrocketed in sales. So Liz
Okay.
Moore.
What's it about? Read me the blurb or whatever.
Okay. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack camper. Oh my God, I can't speak. When a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. That's sort of like the hook. So,
okay.
Gotcha. But it's kind of like a thriller. I'm only about, I don't even know, a 16th of the way through. But I literally have had this on my bedside table, and I was like,
wow,
that's the book I have right here. Anyway, so
cool.
Yeah.
Same wavelength, you and Taylor.
Yeah, maybe. I've always said Taylor and I have similar music tastes, so maybe we've good book tastes as well. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to see her on the phone with Travis, which is so sweet.
Luke, we got to that point and he's like, should we be hearing this?
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the way that he was like talking to her, I was like, I feel like I should not be allowed to hear this.
I know, the chemistry. Crazy. And then, of course, we got more Travis in the later episodes, which like...
Right. Yeah. Should we move to episodes 3 and 4?
Let's move to that. I mean, I loved episodes 3 and 4. The costumes.
Yeah.
The working out. Like...
I loved it. Like,
bodysuit.
We got to see some of the workouts, and then when she said, like, I've never worked out this much in my life.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Which is so funny to me. Like, it just shows her grit even more, because I personally love to work out. So, like, I think I would absolutely thrive and, like, love, like, that would be one of my favorite parts of the day. But Taylor is like, I hate this. I hate this. And she was like, why am I doing pull-ups? I'm never doing this on stage.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
her like trainer was like ripped. Also, like, she is very strong. She is an athlete. We know this. Like, I think she said in that segment that she basically does 8 miles every show.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right.
But people were like, why is she wearing a necklace, like, while she's working out? And I was just like, 1, because she can. And 2, like, she does wear accessories on tour. Like, during Lover, she has, like, a choker necklace. You know what I mean? Like, there's...
Yeah.
You know.
She's used to doing physical things with, like, all this stuff on her. So it's probably not a big deal.
I mean, the rep bodysuit, like, we got the explanation for Miami Night 1, kind of. But,
kind of. Like, we didn't really get a reason for why.
And also, like, I love that they made us seem absolutely insane. Like, oh, we're so excited for a gold rep bodysuit. No, girl. It's because we were all clowning that Reputation was happening with that bodysuit. Hello? Like...
Yeah. Also, they included someone's video where, like, people were, like, waiting for it and it didn't happen. And they said we were clowning.
Yeah.
So that was in the docuseries.
But it's like, but we're not clowning for... But we're not clowning for a new costume. We're clowning for Reputation. Like, I feel like that was kind of, like, missed. I don't know.
Also, like, I know I'm, like, hormonal right now, but the end of episode 3, when she actually comes out in the bodysuit and they show all the footage, I sobbed.
It's like, I literally texted you, she's magical.
Like, it was like the collective effervescence. I think it also made me so nostalgic for the tour and just that time period where we were all on the grainy live streams and, like, waiting for things and just talking to each other and just waiting, like, what are the surprise songs going to be? Like, it just kind of captured that moment and the magic. And then it's like they're showing her performing during the rain, and she's talking about basically how this rain show was this, like, unplanned magical moment that, like, added, it just heightened everything. And whenever they play the clips in slow motion, I'm done.
Dead.
I'm gone.
Yeah. I literally text you, she is magical. Like, she is, like, literally unhinged magical. I cannot, like, the Miami Night 1 footage is insane. But also, like, the amount of quick changes, and we see her going into, like, the quick change rooms and her dressers, they must, like, have it down to such a science.
It's like a NASCAR, like, car getting its tire changed or whatever they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works
flawless. It's flawless every time. It's insane.
She doesn't have a second to waste. I think, honestly, that might have been the most impressive thing to me of, like, really getting a look behind the scenes was to see her, like, she's already running around on stage, right?
Right.
And somehow isn't out of breath, even though she's singing. Like, if I'm singing in the car, I will get out of breath if I'm, like, turning my wheel. Okay? So, like, I don't know how she does it. But it, like, to see her come off stage, she literally, like, runs off while undoing whatever outfit she has. She crawls into, like, a little tent, which this whole thing would give me claustrophobia. I would not be able to do this. And then she has to, like, hop on one of her sleds that shoots her to another part of the stage. So, like, she would come up out from underneath the stage and pop out. Like, you would think she would be, like, out of breath. It's not like she's off stage catching her breath for the next segment. She's, like, running around backstage. Like, I would not be able to sing when I got upstairs onto the stage.
No.
But she does that, like, 20 times.
Yep.
And she's, like, sipping her little water through her straw.
Just insane, honestly. Like, the amount of just, like, details just to get the show to run appropriately.
Yeah. Also, like, back to the rep bodysuit, we got to see how at first it didn't fit her properly. And I thought that was really interesting scene because, you know, everything we hear about Taylor, she's just, like, an amazing boss. She's so, like, celebratory. She's supportive. She's, like, so nice and kind. And we got to see her be upset about something, but she wasn't yelling at the people, and she was clearly not upset with them. And they were explaining, like, we literally don't have the fabric of the original one anymore. We almost like couldn't get this made or whatever they were telling her. And she's just like very clearly kind of setting a boundary of like, this doesn't fit. And like, I can't wear it like this. Like, this isn't going to work. And she's showing that she's disappointed, but she's never being rude to them.
She doesn't diminish anyone. She doesn't admonish anyone. It's just...
She never says like, you guys better get this fixed or you're fired. Nope. Like, it's nothing like that. Yep. But you also see them. I think it's like a rare moment where Taylor is dissatisfied because you see it's her stylist who's been with her for like 20 years or whatever. You can see he looks at the seamstress or whatever and is like, we better get our shit together.
We got to get this right.
Like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Tara's not pleased.
Yeah.
And we must fix this. And they do. They fix it. And then, of course, she's also like, how did you guys do this? This is amazing. Like, you guys are magicians. Like, how, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just.
I just think that, like, yeah, she's obviously an amazing boss, but also, like, when you are constantly so excited to make her happy when she's not, like, even, like, not even unhappy, just, like, disappointed or just basically saying, like, this just won't work. It's okay. But, yeah. We have to talk about the 2 breakups, okay? Like, 2. Mentioned, not names, but we know who they are. Taylor
Take
basically
that, all
saying,
the people who are like, she and Maddie Haley never dated.
Please.
Oh, yeah? Then how did they break up?
Yeah, please, okay? We get the iconic line, men will let you down. The Eras Tour never will. And she knew she ate with that one. She was like, yeah. Because, like, she did use her hustle and her motivation to make this tour amazing as an escape from 2 really bad breakups. Because her personal life was insane.
She said the Eras Tour was, like, the only thing keeping her going at times because her personal life was a mess.
Yeah. And I love that Andrea had no qualms at basically saying, like, your exes suck, girl. Like, she was like... Andrea basically said without saying, like,
she was like,
you got to change something because this ain't working. Like,
I know. I love Andrea. She was like so cute in that episode where like she's telling the story about how she heard the stuff about Travis on the podcast saying like, oh, I wanted to meet Taylor. I had a friendship bracelet for her with my number on it. So then she calls her cousin because I guess they're Kansas City Chiefs people.
Must be.
And so Andrea's cousin tells her like, oh, Travis, he's amazing. He's so nice. And he loves his mom. And Andrea's like,
I'm down.
Okay. She's like, say less.
Yeah.
But I love the part where like, well, first of all, the way Taylor's like, Mom, you tell the story. I know you love to tell the story.
Yeah. Because, Andrea's like, I set them up. I did it.
Yeah. And the way that Taylor's just like cracking up, like watching her mom tell the story and Taylor said her mom basically said something like, listen, you got to try something different. Like what you're doing is not working.
It's not working.
And then also when Andrew's like, and I said, he's really cute. Like you tell Andrea loves Travis.
Andrea loves Travis, loves him. And then of course we get Travis like Taylor talks about how like, oh, I feel like the fans really love Travis because they know that he loves them. Girl, no, it's because he loves you and we love you and we love to see you happy. And we see him like just the difference between Miss Americana and Joe barely being in the thing, like wearing a baseball cap. She has to run to find him. I couldn't find you. Versus Travis, who's literally bebopping with his boys, like handing out friendship bracelets, going on stage for London.
Yeah.
Like
and waiting for her under the
stage. Show is done. She's not running around. He's like, come on, choo choo, let's get out of here.
Aboard.
Like literally like the difference between 2 relationships.
And she also said how before it was always really hard for her to juggle being on tour while having a relationship. And I think she essentially said that with Travis, it just never felt difficult. No. I think because their lives are so similar. So for her to juggle her career with a relationship is exactly how it feels for him. So they can truly understand each other on that level, and they both have to make time and space for each other in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But for the two of them, it comes very naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that's been obvious to all of us this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we just got fed these 3-4 episodes. And then, like, oh, also Andrea not understanding that, like, Hits Different is a breakup song crushed me. I was like,
TikToks
girl,
coming out about this are so funny.
I know.
Oh my God. She was like, and then when Taylor explains the matchup.
She's like, who are we talking about?
Right. And so Taylor like explains like, no, it's like blah, blah, blah. And she goes to this big city and she like starts over. And Andrea's like, I guess so. Like,
I just think it's cute. It's about you and
like,
Travis. Yeah.
It's you and Travis. It tells your story. And Taylor's like, wait, what?
So Andrea is still a mom at her heart. Always a mom.
Oh my God.
I love it.
But speaking of the 2 breakups, okay, are you seeing people talking about how they think that like they're taking this episode to be proof that more of the songs are about Joe than Maddie? Because
no, I didn't see anything like that.
Because when she's like recording Fortnite in the studio, I think people put something together. I think because her hand was still messed up, that it was in like May of that year. But it could have been in June.
Yeah.
But also like they're trying to say that Fortnite is about Joe and not Maddie. But I always read Fortnite as being about her time with Joe when she was yearning for Maddie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this doesn't change the topic of Fortnite to me at all.
Well, some people were looking at like some of the recording footage of her where she's at Electric Lady. And the thing is, like, she had gone to Electric Lady with Florence Welch and Maddie Healy for some of the recording sessions. There's like paparazzi pictures of them coming in and out of the studio. Everyone's like, see, the black dog is like whatever. And I was just like, no, like, do you know how often an artist goes in to record? Like, it's not like she went twice. Hello. Right. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So for me, it didn't change anything the way I think about the timelines and what songs are about what.
Yeah, same.
I don't know. I think people are looking for things, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Also, like, the whole Wiley story, I mean, that's where I was like, our ally, our queen, because she doesn't have to push an agenda. She just literally is an ally. She literally was just like, oh, Wiley wants to dance and ready for it. Her first question was, does he have wardrobe?
Right.
Like, logistically, like, does he have something to wear? Great.
Yeah, because the Ready For It dance was typically all women dancers. So,
yeah.
And it was like his last chance that he could have done it.
Yeah.
But I love how like everything was prepped. Like, is it Amanda, the like assistant choreographer, who was like making sure he had the choreo down, which he did. Then she was like, let's see if my wardrobe fits you. And it did. So like everything's taken care of. And then someone else comes to Taylor and is like, hey, Wiley really wants to do Ready For It. And I think Taylor goes, what do you mean? Because I think it almost sounded like, does he want to sing? Like, what?
Like, wait. Okay.
They're like, he wants to do the dance. And then she was like, so you have wardrobe? And they said, yeah, Amanda's fits him. And she's like, okay, yeah.
Like, yeah. And she even talks about how, like, like gender is so fluid on the tour. Like, she doesn't care about any of it.
Which also, it wasn't a conscious decision that they made. But they were very fluid about gender on the tour. And that was very obvious.
Right. And that's our subliminal messaging that Taylor's going to give us on this time is like, yes, I'm still a liberal queen. Okay.
I know. So, I texted my friend Steph. I was like, if people are watching this and they still don't think that Taylor's a liberal, like, I'm sorry, but you're stupid. Like,
she literally has a piece of art that says love wins behind her as she's trying on her costumes. Like, are you kidding me?
Like, this whole thing is liberal. Another person we got to see profiled was her backup singer, Jesslyn Gorman, who we had no idea was battling breast cancer for 6 months of the tour.
No.
And I mean, I would bet you any money in the world that Taylor was paying her that entire time per full salary.
I would too. I just think that like, and her first thing was like, when can I come back?
Yeah.
When can I come back?
She finished radiation and then like the next day was on tour again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she had to like work out and stay in good shape to be able to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
she went through a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, just another example of how Taylor takes care of her team.
And of course we get Miss Sabrina.
Little Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, who was like a Swiftie when she was, a preteen, and now is just like singing with her
Right.
on tour.
Taylor singing her song.
Yeah. And it looks
Yeah.
like next
What a
episodes we're
dream.
going to get Gracie. So I feel like we're like touching all the sort of like guest stars. Love that. But yeah, like we've been fed these 4 episodes. I'm looking forward to the last 2. We've talked a long time about this. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. People want to hear it.
Yeah.
I will say, where's her dad? But we also know that one of the
it
next
does look like,
episodes is about family.
Yeah,
But I'm
there are
like,
a couple clips.
Where's Scott? Like,
yeah, I think maybe this is a reaction to fans' reaction to him in Miss Americana. Remember, he was one of the original people who was not interested in her making a political statement. Like, maybe he's more like, I'm going to stay back for this.
But
Well,
I was also wondering, is he not as involved in the day-to-day as her mom? Because her mom is technically her manager.
Right. 13 management it's like Sailor's mom / 13 management.
Right.
I don't know. I definitely know he's still involved in the decision making.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, but we also know that he was dealing with some health issues. So
yeah, but I think that came more like after the tour.
But maybe there were some other things that were going on that we're unaware of.
Could have been.
Because he definitely was at the tour.
And hopefully we see more of her dad, more of her brother in this upcoming family-focused episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what do we think we're going to get for these last 2? We're getting family stuff?
I think family stuff, and I think we're going to get Life of a Showgirl behind the scenes, and
maybe some master stuff. And like, I want to see more about the re-recording process.
Yeah.
Because that was a huge part of the tour.
Yeah.
Like 2 of them came out while she was on tour. So
I think we're going to get family focused, but because remember, her family were the ones that advocated for her to get her master's. So that I feel that is sort of the transition.
Also, it seemed like this trailer we got today was all about this like family thing, which is probably 1 episode. So what's the other episode about?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Why wouldn't they give us more of a preview about that? I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah. She also changed the documentary dates to be the last batch to be on the 23rd. Smells fishy. Like, is something happening? Or is it just because she's like, you know what? Stranger Things is coming out over the holidays. People are busy. Let's like get it done before the craziness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They talked about this on the Every Single Album podcast. And I'm with Nathan on this, where I think it's purely a numbers thing about.
I think so too.
Like, you're going to get the most eyeballs on it when it comes out, if it comes out before Christmas, as opposed to like the 26th is like one of the biggest travel days of the entire year. People are with families or traveling or whatever. So like having it on the 23rd probably just means like more people can get their eyeballs on it, and it's not getting lost in the shuffle of the like Christmas, New Year's holiday madness. So I think it's purely like a business decision. I don't think it means anything.
Yeah, I think they were just like, you know what? The timing, it makes more sense. Whatever. Oh, also, we had some lyric changes.
Oh, yeah.
Just randomly pop up. So we had a change on Delicate to Goddamn Never Seen That Color Blue.
Instead of Oh Damn, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's what it used to be.
Most importantly, though, is I did something bad, and if he calls me a bitch, then he had it coming. Which, of course, I was like, wait, why did it take me so long to figure out that, like, this is a reference to Kanye West? Duh. Hello?
Yeah, that's probably your pregnancy brain.
I was like, what? Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But, like, obviously these are Reputation tracks, which makes us all put our clown noses on once again. I wonder, is she, like, trickling out some of the re-records that she did do before scrapping the whole idea of, like, doing a full-blown album, you know?
Yeah, like, I think this has got to be some kind of weird Easter egg, because, like, why is it happening without any, like, announcement about it? But I don't think those songs were re-recorded my guess is that those versions of those songs already existed and Taylor now owns them. So, like, my theory is that those were the original lyrics. And especially the bitch one, I wonder if she was like, I know everyone is going to know this is about Kanye, but this feels like a little bit too obvious of a call out. And this, remember her coming back with Reputation. She was like coming out from hiding after all this. So that would have been like a very obvious thing. But I think it more has to do with like, if those were the only two instances of the whole album that would have made the album explicit, I think she probably decided it wasn't worth it to have an explicit and a clean version, because at that point in time, she had still never had an explicit
She
album.
didn't have, yeah.
And she was already coming out with Reputation being like a real left turn in her style and sound. So to also have it be explicit and then she's like calling out Kanye, I think they might have said like, you know what, let's just tweak these a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep it technically a clean album, because Folklore was her first explicit album. So I think that that's what happened, but that still doesn't explain why did she randomly swap them in.
Yeah, doesn't make.
So like, what does it mean? What does it mean?
Don't know.
I don't know.
We won't know. We won't know.
But I mean, it's not crazy to think that the Rep Vault tracks are the next thing we're going to get.
I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
But I also think that we've read so many things as Easter eggs, as evident, even like through the Eras Tour documentary. We saw her making her Back in the Office.
Yeah.
There were no Easter eggs. She was just like, could you just record me and like spin around?
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to see her say like, oh, let's do it in front of A12 as an Easter egg.
Nope.
No?
So like, I feel like a lot of us are reading into things where we're like, I feel like
she had that sweatshirt on backwards. Like, girl, how did you not know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like if we get it, we get it. I'm sort of like at the point where I'm like, I can't clown anymore for Reputation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we also got to see her basically like direct that video. Like she had the full vision, told her she apparently has a like someone who takes those videos and stuff for her.
Yeah.
So she just described exactly what she wanted.
She got it.
And she was like, I'm going to have my sunglasses. I'm going to hold my cat. And then I'm going to like turn around and then you spin around me. She nailed it. I love that video. There's something about it. I think it's so good.
She's back. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the office.
It is funny. But also like, no, there was no mastermind Easter egg. It was just happened to be right there.
Yeah.
Che Voodoo. Okay, well, we've yapped a long time about Taylor updates. We're talking about Ruin the Friendship today. So, Life of a Showgirl, released October 3rd, 2025. Taylor, Max Martin, and Shellback wrote and produced this one. As far as fountain, quill, or glitter gel pen, I think we're both very much clear that this is a fountain pen. No arguments. And as far as sister song and related album, I like both of our options. So why don't you share yours first?
Okay. For a sister song, I said Midnight Rain, because these songs are both like about a path not chosen. They could possibly be about the same muse, which we will get into. But yeah, and then this was like a clip from Midnight Rain that I pulled to kind of show that.
So I peer through a window, a deep portal, time travel, all the love we unravel, and the life I gave away.
Yeah.
And I agree with yours. This is definitely a sister song.
Yeah, so I chose Forever Winter, which when we unpack sort of the lore of this song, we'll get into this, but like very clearly this is about someone in Taylor's life that ended their life, or their life ended too soon. And a lot of people speculate that the subject of that song is also the subject of Forever Winter. So here's a lyric that sort of clues us into that.
All this time I didn't know you
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Forever Winter?
Well, I guess I did clock that it was a vault track.
Oh, okay.
I obviously knew Red, but like I guess for whatever reason I just didn't know where it lined up in her discography.
Mm.
I think Forever Winter is really devastating and sad wrapped up in a pop song. So it's a little confusing like sonically, but a lot of people also compare Bigger Than the Whole Sky to kind of like the same idea of Forever Winter,
Yeah.
like I'll never know what could have been you.
Yeah.
It's too young to know it gets better. Like, read between the lines here. Like, this is someone who ended their life or their life ended too soon. Very different sounds, very different like approaches to the same subject. It's sad because how old was she? Like 20, 21,
21, I
22?
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know that she obviously had a close connection to this person. And so much so that she wrote a song about it that was on the next album.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't really
But,
have
like,
any feelings about the song itself, though.
I don't like it.
I don't listen. It's not something I'm going to tune on, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's one of the songs that like one of the few songs in her discography that I would probably say that I actively dislike.
that's
like, as a
Welcome
song.
to New York for me. I don't want to listen to it.
Welcome to New York is that for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, the biggest offender is Safe and Sound.
Oh, I love Safe and Sound.
I know you do. I hate it. I hate it so much.
That's her soft entrance to folklore.
I know, which I should like it, but there's something about it's for like both of these ones. It's like it's almost like a chord progression or something that it just like irks me, and I'm like, I don't like it. And usually I like the like brass instruments and stuff with like Jack Antonoff, but like in Forever Winter, I'm just like, I don't like this. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not a song
at
I
all.
turn on to. I mean, I just feel like, yeah, it's got to be.
But like, if it's on at Target, I'll sing along to it. I mean, let's be real.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So Forever Winter for me is like the song that Taylor wrote to this person in hindsight, like probably like her sitting in the regret of like, she had no idea how bad this person's mental health was or how bad the situation is. But there's this person that you've always had feelings for. And like, I would break down to the floor. You have no idea how much you mean to me. And living in that regret, like sitting in that regret of like not really telling that person or approaching that person or following through.
Or just like wishing you could have done something to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it wasn't convenient.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Right.
Related album, we both said Fearless. So I said / debut just because of like high school vibes. So
yeah. I think I always also think of Fearless as being very high school. I think it fits the sound of Fearless really well. It also kind of fits the theme, like being fearless, like just ruin the
friendship. Yeah.
Yeah. Kiss them anyway.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what happens. So yeah, I think you could slot this song into Fearless. It could work.
Yeah.
You know?
Personal associations with the song. I mean, plot twist of the century. Like another example of Taylor building us a story only to rip our hearts out, you know? Like, she's such a good storyteller. She's a master at it.
Right.
I guess like for me, this song makes me excited for a debut because like it's not her typical pop or like quill pen moment. But it is honest. It's great storytelling, just like her early music was as a young teenager. So it makes me excited for debut. Makes me want to re-listen to Fearless, that sort of thing. And I'm still very much confused as to why this song was put on the album. Like, don't get me wrong. I love it. I think it's great. But if Showgirl is quote unquote everything that was going on behind the curtain, I know that this didn't happen during that time period. So I guess like
the outlier of the album.
And like mulling this over, like I think like I just like to know where her head was at when she thought about writing her past like this. Like maybe it's more of just like the lessons that she's learned in how she doesn't want to live with regrets, period. So like going
Yeah.
for her master's, basically just like telling the world what her goals and her ambitions are, especially now that she's with Travis, like basically saying like, give life a chance, like stay open-hearted, don't be so self-protected, kind of like eldest daughter's bridge, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and maybe that's just like the place she was at, and it makes you go back and revisit
Right.
times that you didn't do that.
Yeah.
But I do sort of think that, like, I just want to know, like, I would love to know more about like what really made you write about this situation, like so many years later, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this song grew on me like really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It rose to my top like 3 or 4 within the first like week or 2 of listening to the album. I really love the sound of this song. I
Mm-hmm.
love the message. Like it's even though it is really sad, it's also really sweet and happy to me at the same time.
Yeah, it's very actually inspiring.
And like as for like how it fits into the showgirl of it all, um I think there's a little bit of a trio going on here with father figure, eldest daughter, and ruin the friendship. I
Mm.
think father figure is like Taylor putting on her tough suit to survive what she's been through.
Mm-hmm.
And then eldest daughter is her realizing that she can like stop protecting herself so much and allow herself to want things.
Mm-hmm.
And then ruin the friendship is her reflecting on what could have been if she had stopped protecting herself so much early
Ooh, I
on
like this.
and just like took some chances because it
Yeah.
goes, that's the order: father figure, eldest daughter, ruin the friendship.
I like
So
that.
I feel like she's taking us on a little bit of a journey there.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
similar,
like
oh, go
father
ahead.
figure is like, she's like, my dick's bigger. Boom, like
Yeah.
whatever. Eldest daughter is like,
Like I'm actually
actually,
a sheep dressed up like a wolf,
right,
you
right.
know?
Like I actually, I'm like basically a soft little baby who never allowed myself to desire things like kisses and lilacs and Ferris wheels, and I can have it. Like, and then
Mm-hmm.
ruin the friendship is basically her being like, gosh, like if only I knew that earlier.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
And then kind of similar to some things you were saying about like, okay, well, why did she write this song that summer in Stockholm during the Eras tour with all these other songs? And so I think she could have maybe been thinking about how much joy and light Travis brought to her life because she was in a really dark place at the beginning of the tour. And then like wondering if she could have done that for this other
Mm-hmm.
person that she's writing about here. Also, she took a chance on Travis in a lot of ways. So like what if she had taken those bigger risks in
Mm-hmm.
love earlier in life, and therefore how could her life have been different, or how could that person's life have been different? Would it have ended the same way if
Right.
she had been a part of their life? And then also, I think like being a showgirl means being away from home and like walking away from certain people and that normal life she could have had, kind of like in Midnight Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And it means having to fly home for the funeral of someone like with whom you lost touch.
Right.
So it could also be about the things you lose or miss out on because you're busy being a showgirl,
Mm-hmm.
and the life that she didn't have because she chose this life. And, you know, so all these things are things that maybe she was reflecting on because
Mm-hmm.
of where she was at in her life.
Yeah.
And then this song came out of it.
Yeah.
So,
what Taylor has said about this song, going into the folklore of it all,
mhm.
on her Amazon Music interview, she said, Ruin the Friendship is a song that wistfully goes back in time to moments that you hesitated, moments that you were too scared or anxious to do something that you were really curious about. The idea of if you told this person you have feelings for them, or if you kiss this person, you might ruin the friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then in the official release party of a Showgirl film, she said, it would have been fine to take chances I didn't take. I was so disciplined in high school. It's very wistful and very nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said it's an amalgamation of different characters she's seen throughout her life and inspired by several different people she knew in high school.
Yeah. So
Loosely based in fact.
Loosely based, very folklore, Evermore adjacent.
Yeah.
But yeah, moral of the story is like, don't wait for a perfect moment to show up and take a chance on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about like the high school of it all in just one second. But like,
Yeah.
speaking of like these characters, one of the main people a lot of people are speculating this song is about is Jeff Lang, who is a friend of Taylor's who died on November 2nd, 2010 at the age of 21. She had just won Country Singer of the Year at the BMI Country Awards in Nashville the day after his funeral, and spoke about him in her acceptance speech. She said, "It has been a really emotional week for me. Yesterday, I sang at the funeral of one of my best friends. He was 21, and I used to play my songs for him first. So I would like to thank Jeff Lang."
Yeah,
and like, you know, details of her concern for her friend struggling with mental health and like substance abuse. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, and I think so. We don't know for sure that he died by suicide. He definitely died, I think, from complications of like a drug overdose. Whether or not that was intentional or not is unclear. But either way, it's all tied to mental health, you know.
Right.
And he wasn't doing well, and especially in Forever Winter, we hear her sing about that. I think she's confirmed that Forever Winter is about him, but Jeff Lang's mom actually spoke about Ruin the Friendship, and she believes it's about her son. And she said she was amazed that after all this time, Taylor hasn't forgotten about him and she's keeping his name alive. So,
and like just speaking like detail oriented, like Taylor and Jeff attended Hendersonville High School in Tennessee before she left to pursue her music career more seriously. Of course, like there's references to a turnpike that runs through Hendersonville called Gallatin Pike, and a lakeside beach, which is more than likely Old Hickory Lake, found along the Cumberland River, which is near them as well.
Okay.
I mean, are there any other potential muses that we're aware of? I mean, that we're aware of, no. But as she said, it's sort of an amalgamation of different people. But of course, a lot of us have clung on to the idea of it being about Jeff Lang.
Yeah. I think the main question is like, is this actually about Taylor, or did like one of her friends have a crush on Jeff?
Maybe.
You know, and she like put it all together. I don't know, but
maybe
it's probably what we think it is. I think it's like the most obvious reason is like probably the correct reason here.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, like, we have to address the critics who constantly complain about how Taylor always writes about high school and she's a 30-something-year-old.
Yeah.
So, like...
Well, and I think it's hilarious because in the Showgirl movie, she said that she hadn't written about high school in a very long time. And we all were like, girl, what? Like, wait, a very long time? What?
Yeah.
But I think she meant writing about her actual high school experience.
Right. Not as a metaphor, but like her actual experience.
Like, not like writing from that lens for a metaphor or for something like the Betty August Cardigan trilogy. Like, she's writing about her actual high school experience in this song, which is something, she probably hasn't actually done in a long time. Because even so, high school is not necessarily about her.
It's not about her going to homeroom. Right.
Right. Exactly.
But like, so Taylor uses high school as a metaphor in a lot of her music. Basically, we've sort of summarized it as her way to explain a specific scenario that sometimes can feel out of reach in a more tangible way. It sort of like gives us a level playing field to understand her perspective. So like an example of that is this line from Thank You, Amy.
When I picture my hometown, there's a bronze spray tan statue of you and a plaque underneath it that threatens to push me down the stairs at our school. And it was always the same searing pain.
So obviously she's not talking about like someone actually threatening to push. She's not actually talking about it. She's talking about someone who's a big figure in her life, a big celebrity, a big name, and she still feels threatened and like, you know, she still feels like this is someone who's a bully. Another example is this one from Miss Americana.
16, lost in a film scene, waving homecoming queens, marching band playing. I'm lost in the lights. American glory faded before me. Now I'm feeling hopeless. Ripped up my prom dress, running through rose thorns. I saw the scoreboard and ran for my life.
So this is like her using the metaphor of running away to London. Like, but using Americana high school metaphors to explain, like, you know, she ripped up her prom dress and she saw the scoreboard at like the football game with like homecoming queens and a marching band. And like, of course, this line too.
Hey there. It's been a long time coming, but it's you and me. That's my whole world. They whisper in the hallway, she's a bad, bad girl. The whole school is rolling fake dice. You play-
Yeah. Which we know.
I love that in our notes you wrote the incorrect lyrics.
I know.
Which is
that
what
is
Taylor keeps singing in the Eras Tour doc and stuff.
not whisper in the hallway, it's whisper down the hallway. Taylor has changed that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And then I thought of this line too from Suburban Legends.
I had the fantasy that maybe your mismatched star signs would surprise the whole school. When I ended up back at a class reunion, walking in with you, you'd be.
So, like, I'm standing in 1950s gymnasium. It's like, you know, she's using high school as a metaphor. And if you can't understand that, dig deeper. That's all I have to say. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, we have to remember that was like Taylor's last taste of normalcy was in high school before she became the huge pop star that she is. So it's an easy place for her to reminisce on and to think back to when she was like a normal person. And she gave us the love triangle with Betty Cardigan in August. And then in So High School, she kind of reflects on feeling like she's back in high school with Travis and stuff like that. So,
yeah. All right.
Okay, well.
Here we go.
Time to get into the song.
Here we go.
Okay.
Glistening grass from September rain, gray overpass full of neon names. You drive 85, Gallatin Road and the lakeside beach, watching the game from your brother's Jeep. Your smile, miles wide.
So I saw a TikTok yesterday that was it was playing the first 0.3 seconds of a Taylor song to see if you could know which one it was. And I got almost all of them because I'm a psycho.
Of course. Yeah.
One of them was Ruin the Friendship. So it was 0.3 seconds of that first little drum fill. And I was like, Ruin the Friendship immediately. My brain knows it immediately.
Yeah.
And this song hasn't even been out that long. So I was surprised. Wishlist is one of them too.
I do love the production on this song. I feel like it's got a good groove to it. The drums are great. Yeah. The glistening grass from September rain. I mean, like, beginning of the school year weather. Okay. This is like, it's a rainy day in September and like the school year, it's kind of like foggy because like the rain is sort of like clung onto the leaves of grass. I can just imagine, I can smell it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And we know Taylor loves rain.
Sure does.
A lyric that had like a similar energy to me is this one from Fearless.
There's something about the way the street looks when it's just rain. There's a glow off the pavement. You walk me to the car.
Walk me to the car. There we go.
Yeah.
And then we get like gray overpass full of neon names, like classic Americana drive through multiple highways with ugly signs. Okay. And of course, being near Nashville, a lot of those neon names are big, like Nashville artists, country artists, you know. And the irony is like eventually she is going to be one of the names that's neon. So that made me think of this line from Lucky One.
Another name goes up in life.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We get You Drive. 85.
So, music theory nerd moment. You drive 85, right? Which I'm not warmed up, but you get the idea. That is a 6-pitch descending line.
Okay.
5. Okay. That's actually really hard to sing. 6 pitches. Okay. A descending line, which like metaphorically is going like 6 feet under.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an Easter egg for what's about to come.
Do you think she did that on purpose, or is that
I don't
like a
know.
happy accident?
I don't know. It's like I protect the family 6 times. Is it like,
right?
You know, I love the line itself. Like it in and of itself, the melodic line is fun, and like I think it's great. But I do wonder, like, interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind. Then we have Gallatin Road and the Lakeside Beach, which is her calling out specific landmarks, which we love.
Love that.
Because it, like, we can literally Google this and find out what she's talking about. Because
like, literally, the Taylor universe is expanding in front of us.
Right. Yeah. It's the Hendersonville area where she went to school. But it's kind of similar to this line from 'Tis the Damn Season, which I don't know which one of these it is. Let me try this one.
Time flies, let's see as the night. I parked my car right between the Methodist and the school that used to be ours.
Yeah. Like, she's just landmarking things for us. Setting scene. Watching the game from your brother's Jeep. Like, again, Taylor is sending us right back to that fearless days of like driving around with your crush. Like, you know, a Jeep is like such a like, I don't know. It just seems like early 2000s. If your crush is driving a Jeep, that's like the coolest car in the entire world. Like, it's your brother. It's his brother's, but like it still doesn't matter. Which of course, like we know Taylor loves to drive with her crush based off of this song.
Right.
I was riding shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car. He's got a one-hand feel on the steering wheel, the other on my heart.
I can't get over how
baby Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she goes on to talk about their smile being miles wide. So we're talking about driving around, smiling, you know, which again is similar to 'Tis the Damn Season.
Time flies, let's see as the mud on your truck tires. Now I'm missing your smile, hear me out. We could just ride around.
Your smile, missing your smile, like.
Which brings us to our Patreon episode that we just did about 'Tis the Damn Season, where we talked about ruining the friendship a little bit, because it's like, is 'Tis the Damn Season like a fan fiction about her own life about the same person? Right?
Listen, and if you want more information, you got to go watch us got to go listen on Patreon, okay? Because it's a great episode, dare I say it. But like,
well, yeah. And like, one of your favorite songs.
One of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In my brain, this is like, they're tied. This is another sister song. Yeah. Like,
which like, we didn't make that connection until Ruin the Friendship came out.
No. Yeah. Because there's obviously someone at home that Taylor is pining for. Now, obviously, we'll get into it in the Patreon episode, but like her explanation is a little different about 'Tis the Damn Season. But we know that there's a little truth in the fiction that is Folklore and Evermore. So
so is 'Tis the Damn Season like fan fiction about like, what if she had kissed him and ruined the friendship, and then he was the person that she came home to over the holidays?
She's home at the bar, and all of a sudden he's there, and she's like, "Well,
yeah."
In my view, absolutely.
Staying at my parents' house.
Yeah, road not taken.
Wink.
Not Gallatin Road, but the road not taken. All right,
right.
So,
yeah.
All right, let's go to the chorus.
Okay. And it was not an invitation. Should have kissed you anyway. Should have kissed you anyway. And it was not convenient, no. But your girlfriend was away.
That bass is so yummy. Just have to say that.
Yeah, it is
It's so good. Yeah.
Also, I just got to give another FU to like whatever his name is from the Needle Drop.
Yeah. What's his name?
Anthony Fantano.
Fantano. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't actually hate him, but
I don't like him.
He's had some commentary that makes me pretty annoyed. But he really annoyed me because his main takeaway from this song was that Taylor Swift is telling you to kiss someone even if they have a girlfriend.
Like, please, okay.
Spare me,
please. Okay. It's just no. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't take that stuff seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not an invitation. Okay, like you weren't asking me to. Like you didn't really like lead me on to think like we should do this, you know?
Right.
But I should have kissed you anyway. And it wasn't convenient. Like it was going to make things difficult and messy because we weren't crossing that line with each other.
Right.
But there's something there. There's just something like there's some chemistry, but like there's a boundary. You have a girlfriend.
Right. But like I should have just done it. I should have just like, you know, or even like just confessed my feelings for you, whether I'm kissing you or not. But like, why also, didn't I just go for it?
Where was Homegirl?
The girlfriend?
Your girlfriend was away. Where was she? This is September, hypothetically. Okay.
September. Did she go to a different high school?
You don't know her. She goes to a different school. Was she homeschooled?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe her family went to Paris for the summer and she started
late.
School a week late.
Obviously could be pure fiction, but it's also like your girlfriend wasn't there, so like I should have just done it. I should have just gone for it, you know? Like
right.
I made a mistake by not just crossing the line. So,
right.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'm good.
All right, here's verse 2.
Shiny wood floors underneath my feet. Disco ball makes everything look cheap. Have fun. It's prom. Wilted corsage dangles from my wrist. Over his shoulder, catch a glimpse and see you looking at me.
All right.
I love this verse because once again, she's such a good storyteller.
Yeah, I think both of these verses are great examples of her storytelling and like picture painting because she's building entire scenes for us in a way that I love that she does. So yeah, I really do like this one.
Shiny wood floors underneath our feet. Disco ball makes everything look cheap. Have fun. It's prom. Okay, first of all, the way people have responded to disco ball makes everything look cheap to their mirror ball tattoos that they've gotten, like because. Listen, Mirror Ball, Taylor herself has said is one of her top 5 songs that she thinks she's ever written.
That's right, yeah.
And we're actually going to do Mirror Ball in a future Patreon episode, so like, keep your eyes out. But whatever. Yeah. A lot of people resonate with some of the lyrics of Mirror Ball, and like, a lot of people have gotten like a disco ball tattooed with the lyrics. So then she calls out disco ball makes everything look cheap. They're like,
right.
Okay, thanks, Taylor. Like, what?
Rude.
Which I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, I don't know where your prom was, but our prom was at a hotel, like, very corny, very cheap, very like, you know, nothing fancy.
Yeah. And then like with the wilted corsage and stuff, I think she's telling us how she didn't have as much fun as she had hoped. Especially with her saying, have fun, it's prom.
Right.
It's like she's telling herself, like, you're at prom, just have fun. You know?
Right.
Like, you should be having fun right now.
Or another way of her looking at it is like, everyone says, like, this should be like the most fun night of your entire life. And like, when you actually look at it, like, it's kind of like there's cheap disco balls and like our wilted corsages and like everybody's dancing to like sweaty, you know, songs. And is it actually what we think it is? Like, is it really the best night of our lives? Like,
I do remember mine being super anticlimactic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like you all get like dressed up, but then you have like this weird dinner at a hotel Nobody knows how to act around each other. None of us feel comfortable like dancing, really.
Yeah, I felt so uncomfortable to dance at prom. I love dancing, but it was like everyone was so dressed up. Like there was kind of like this pressure to like do like
and then
what
your,
everybody
teachers
wanted.
are there.
Yeah, it was just like to me, prom was like super awkward.
Yeah.
The most fun I had at prom was when I went my senior year with a bunch of girls. Like we all decided that we're going together, and it was so much fun because like the pressure was off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I went to prom twice with your husband.
There you go. There are pictures. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's funny.
Yep. Like, okay, I went to prom 3 times. I was a sophomore the first time, and I went with a friend, but I always sort of thought that he had a crush on me. And I got the gist that he wanted to like stay out and like go to stuff together. And I was just like, I just don't really like you like that. It was very uncomfortable. Okay. Second time I went with a boyfriend. But like at the time I felt like such a pressure to like, I don't know. It just like wasn't comfortable. It just was not a comfortable situation. I feel like I ruined his prom, to be honest, because he like probably wanted to dance and I was just like not feeling it. I don't know. I was in anxiety, anxiety. I was not in a good headspace. So I'm so sorry. So sorry to that man. And then, my last senior year was all girls. That was like the most fun I had because the pressure was off. But yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Because it was just senior prom, right?
Yeah. It was like
junior prom.
Well, we had junior and senior prom. But it was like...
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. But like, I was just like, I'm not on the prom queen court. I'm just like, let's just go. Let's just have fun. We had a sleepover afterward. It was great. So
that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. We only had a senior prom, but I got to go my junior year because I was dating Luke and he was a senior. So I went to his prom and then I went to my own prom.
Yeah.
With him. So
yeah. Definitely
he had to come back.
Definitely like
he's in college.
Like is prom that big of a deal anymore? I'm not even sure. Like
I don't know.
Do you remember like Deb's store and like the mall stores that had the prom dresses and like 17 magazine had like special editions of like prom dresses? Like it was so much of a bigger deal, I think.
My mom and I looked for a prom dress for me for a while and then we finally found one and it was on sale. And like I wore it both years. But I remember I tried on, I think it was with friends shopping, and I tried on a prom dress that was like, picture like the yellow Beauty and the Beast dress with red. And I was like, oh my God, this is like fantastic. And I put it on and it just did not fit me at all because I have like a monster torso. So it was like the waist and everything was not hitting at my natural waist. And it was just a disaster.
Yeah. So shopping for prom dresses was a nightmare. Always.
Yeah. And now I have to do it all the time for all these functions I go to with Josh where it'll be a Thursday. And he's like, by the way, on Saturday, we're going to a gala. And I'm like, and what am I supposed to wear? Okay.
Where is the Deb shop when I need it?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, like I feel like this is Taylor being like, have fun, it's prom. Either she's telling herself that or like everyone else is telling her that. She's like over his shoulder. So she's on a date with somebody else.
Yeah.
She catches a glimpse of this other guy looking at her.
Right.
So
yeah. Which of course immediately made me think of Betty. And where is it? This part.
Betty, I know where it all went wrong. Your favorite song was playing from the far side of the gym. I was nowhere to be found. I hate the crowds, you know that. Plus I saw you dance with him.
Saw you looking at me.
Yep.
But this is like one of those things where it's like, you know, it's this monumental moment of like high school life is like you build up to prom. It's towards the end of the school year. And then of course I love this chorus. It's so good. It's so millennial. So here it is.
And it was not an invitation, but as the 50-cent song played, should've kissed you anyway. And it was not convenient, no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, like referring to it was not an invitation
Mm-hmm.
is probably about that look that she saw. Like, I saw you
Right.
looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
It was not necessarily an invitation.
Right.
But as the 50 Cent song played,
Right. So
takes us right back.
yeah, right back to early 2000s Prom, baby, which makes me okay. So first of all, some people were debating like, oh, she's talking about a 50 Cent jukebox song. Like it's like,
Right.
I was like, no, she
No.
is talking about the artist 50
Yeah.
Cent. Okay.
And I double checked. I pulled out one of my many Showgirl vinyls.
Yeah.
And I checked the liner notes with the lyrics. And
It's capitalized, right?
yeah, the cent is capitalized. It's spelled 50 cent
Yeah.
with a capital C. So that is very clearly the artist 50 Cent.
Which, like, again, what was the song? Was it Candy Shop? Was it Indie Club? Was it PIMP?
Right.
He was the early 2000s Prom king.
Yeah,
50 Cent.
he was it.
Also, 50 Cent was very proud of his shout out in the album, which, by the way, like, he is on a tear lately, 50 Cent.
Mm-hmm.
But he tweeted, at Taylor Swift, shit is popping right now. She shout me out, she don't shout you out, LOL. This is for the big timers only. 50 Centiation. Wait, I'm the only shout out on the whole album. What sensation? Oh, 50 Sensation.
No, isn't it Cent Action? What is that?
At 50 Cent Action. Wait, I'm the only shout out on this whole album. Which he is.
It's 50 Cent Action. It's a free live channel with high octane movies curated by 50 Cent.
Okay, 50 Cent. Okay. Also, he did an interview with Extra TV and he was asked about this and he was just like, I love it. He was like, not only because I like respect her, but also like she's putting us back in that time. And I was the guy at that time, you know, like if you knew, you knew, which is 100% true. Like,
right.
We were dancing in the club talking about like teenagers bumping and grinding to this song. Like, what were we doing?
Oh my God. We had no idea what we were doing.
No idea.
But didn't he also like throw shade at Travis's ex in that little interview?
I believe so. And also, like, let's not forget, 50 Cent is the number one hater. Like, he will hold a grudge. If you think Taylor Swift can hold a grudge, you should meet 50 Cent. Okay?
Like, who does he have grudges with?
P. Diddy. Ja Rule. But, like, he's released documentaries about P. Diddy. Like, and he's like, I told y'all. Like, and he's glowing about it. He's like, we love 50 Cent here. Okay?
50 Cent can stay.
Yeah.
He's allowed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then she also changes this chorus a little bit because she says, would have been the best mistake instead of your girlfriend was away.
Yep.
So, yeah, would have been the best mistake.
Here's the bridge.
Don't make it awkward in second period. Might piss your ex off. Lately we've been good. Staying friends is safe. Doesn't mean you should. Don't make it awkward in second period. Might piss your ex off. Lately we've been good. Staying friends is safe. Doesn't mean you should.
Such a groovy little bridge.
I know. Don't make it awkward in second period. Of course, her thinking about second period reminded me of this line from Betty.
Betty, I won't make assumptions about why you switched your homeroom, but I think it's 'cause of me.
Awkward second period, awkward homeroom.
That is kind of an iconic beginning of that song.
It's so good.
Yeah. Might piss your ex off. Okay. I like this because it's showing a passage of time. Because We started in September, glistening grass from September rain, and he had a girlfriend. And then we get prom, and prom is typically in the spring, like May. So that's very different from September. And now we know he's no longer with the girlfriend.
Yeah.
So time has passed.
This is like end of the school year. Yeah.
Yeah. Time is running out.
Yeah.
You know?
Lately, we've been good. I always took that as like referring to the ex, like Taylor and the ex have been good.
That's how I took it too. She says, might piss your ex off lately. We've been good. Like I'm good with her. I don't want to mess that up.
Right.
Like there's a lot riding on this. Like if I kiss you, things are weird between us, and then your ex-girlfriend is going to be mad at me. And like there's just too much.
Yeah.
You know?
And also like staying friends is safe doesn't mean you should. Made me think, I was like, where have we heard that before? And I was like, it's from Question. So here's that.
Heard that you're still with her. That's nice. I'm sure that's what's suitable and right.
So that like scoop doesn't mean you should, right? So the irony is that like the song Question is all about those things that you don't bother to ask because they're not convenient, right?
Right.
Someone you had feelings about. And like this time she's like, I know that you can't live like that. So like staying friends is safe doesn't mean you should, right? Like question, like this is her starting to question like it's safe, but is it the right way to live? Is it the right way that actually approach this? So can I ask you a question? Is like, should we be friends? Do you like me? Like, have you ever thought about me that way? Like, yeah.
And her saying staying friends is safe, but doesn't mean you should. Just kind of like the, thesis of the whole song. It made me think of this section of Forever Winter. Oh, wait. Wrong one. This one.
He says, why fall in love just so you can watch it go away?
Why fall in love just so you can watch it go away? And he's saying that in Forever Winter. And then that also made me think of this part of Midnight Rain. He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain. Like, maybe he was the one who was like, no, let's not make this messy. Like, we're friends. We don't have to make it messy by like starting to date and get things all complicated. But she, especially now, wants that pain. It's like, I wish I would have just kissed you and dealt with the consequences. And now I wouldn't have like been wondering about it my whole life up to this point. Like, what if I had just kissed you? I'd rather just deal with it.
It's safer and more comfortable to just not approach it. And she's like, actually, I want that pain. I want to.
Right.
I don't think we should just stay friends. But
yeah.
And then we get verse 3 where all of us were like, what's going on? Or we're like, what's wrong? What's going on?
Yeah.
So here we go.
When I left school, I lost track of you. Abigail called me with the bad news. Goodbye. And we'll never know why.
And it's kind of like a half verse compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Also, we unfortunately read these lyrics before we heard them.
Yeah, that was ruined.
Which was, I think, my fault because we were like reading through the lyrics and you're like, oh, it's the bridge. And I said, oh, no, we listened to the bridge because we had. But then we thought this little section here was part of the bridge, not knowing it was the next verse, which we had not heard yet. So then we're reading this like,
we're like,
wait,
what?
So we still like had the reaction, but it was
Abigail
like, reading the lyrics instead of hearing the lyrics.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But we were like, what?
Oops. When I left school, I lost track of you. She has like a little voice crack in that, which is like really sad. And then, of course, Abigail called me with the bad news. I saw a tweet and I wish I would have saved it. But it said, everyone's a thug until Abigail calls you with the bad news.
Or even just like everyone's like a gangster until Abigail calls.
Right.
Like,
and then we're like, oh no. Oh no.
which is true. It's like you're like vibing with this song. You're like, ooh, this song's so cute. So like,
And everyone's like,
I don't know,
Abigail.
like a little funky.
Yeah.
And then we get this like really sad little verse.
Mhm.
Abigail called me with the bad news. And we're like, what
Excuse
happened
me?
to the vibes?
Excuse me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, of course, Abigail we're referring to is like Taylor's best friend that she writes about in 15.
Abigail gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind. And we both cried. 'Cause when
Yeah. Abigail is an icon and a legend.
Yes.
And then goodbye, and we'll never know why. So, like I said, I think it's kind of assumed that he took his own life.
Mhm.
But it could also be like the why of just when someone is taken too soon from
Yeah.
us. Yeah, it's just like, when you lose someone like that, you do ask why.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why did this happen? Why to this person? Why now? It's just
The
unfair.
unfairness of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. All right. So we get more context in the next section too.
it was not an invitation, but I flew home anyway with so much left to say. It was not convenient, no, but I whispered at the grave, should've kissed you anyway. Oh, and it was not an invitation, should've kissed you anyway, should've kissed you anyway, and it was not my advice, it's always ruin the friendship, better than regret it for all time, should've kissed you anyway, and my advice is always answer the question, better than to ask it all your life, should've kissed you anyway, should've kissed you anyway.
Oh, I never noticed that little part at the end where it sounds like they like let their feet up off the pedal of the
Yeah. The
piano or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. All right. But I flew home anyway.
And we're like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. Don't go home.
Yeah.
Don't do that. We know what's coming.
Yeah.
With so much left to say, aka implying she didn't ask the question. She didn't.
Mm-hmm.
She played it safe. It was not convenient. I made the connection that, like, of course, she's used the line, it was not convenient to cross the line or
Right.
whatever. But now what's not convenient is the timing of his death, her
Right.
trip home, the timing of her final admission that's about to come when she whispered at the grave, I should have kissed you anyway. None of these things
Yeah.
were convenient. Like,
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah. I always thought about it as the convenience. It wasn't convenient for her to fly home, but she did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't think about it being like her finally admitting at the grave, when I whispered at the grave, that was inconvenient.
Yeah.
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 Should have kissed you
Should
anyway.
have kissed you anyway. And then she says, my advice is always ruin the friendship. Better that than regret it for all time. Should have kissed you anyway. My advice is always answer the question, which of course relies back to the thing we just talked about with question, which is this.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question?
Like the spiral of like those thoughts, those doubts, those wonderings, like when you don't ask those questions, they become these things that keep you up at night, a la the whole theme of Midnights.
Yeah. It's
But
closure.
now, right, the closure that she really wanted to have. But now, like, Taylor's saying she would now rather live knowing that she has the answers instead of constantly thinking about those types of questions. Like, and that's on growth.
Even if the answer isn't the answer that you want.
Right. It's
like,
still
I'd
an
rather
answer.
just know the answer.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely feel that way.
Yeah.
About most things in life. I'd rather just give me the information, whether it's good or bad, and I can just
move
react
on
accordingly.
Right.
Not have to think about it.
Yeah.
Wonder.
Yeah.
And shout out to my friend Steph who made this connection. Her going to my advice is always answer the question in the song compared to, where is it? Dear Reader.
Never take advice from someone who's fallen apart.
Ooh, we need to do an episode on Dear Reader.
Yeah, we do. Like, honestly, like most Midnight's Folklore Evermore.
So much.
We got to tackle them in the Patreon.
Uh-huh. But yeah, never take advice from someone who's falling apart. Like, versus my advice is always answer the question. Like,
yeah, like here, she's like, no, take my advice.
No.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes, you know?
Better that than to ask it for all your life. Like, you got to know.
Yeah.
And this is in a situation where she'll never know. And you have to live with that, which is
probably
devastating.
why she apparently keeps writing about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's that ultimate what if situation. So, with no closure.
I do think that Bigger Than the Whole Sky is probably about him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, the idea of everything that happened there. You know?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the music of this one. We already mentioned the 6-note descending line. It has that bass line, like drum combination that is present throughout the majority of this album. And I think it's like a little retro / timeless sounding, which kind of fits with the theme of this song.
Yeah.
Being like taking her back to high school. But it's also a very timeless lesson that she's giving us in this song.
It's a classic Taylor, like, fearless vibe.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it fits sonically with Fearless so well. And I think maybe that was unintentionally. She was like, I kind of want this to reminisce to that sound because that was that time that I was writing about this. So
Right. Yeah. And like, even though it has this like super sad plot twist, overall it is a pretty happy and uplifting song, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I looked up the instruments used in this song, and it's drums, keys, guitar, bass, banjo, piano, and percussion. And I was like, well, what the heck is a banjo? I've never heard that before. And so it's basically a guitar banjo. It has 6 strings like a guitar, and it's tuned to the same tuning as a regular guitar, whereas a regular banjo only has 5 strings and a totally different tuning. So it's like anyone who plays guitar can play a banjo.
Interesting.
But you would have to like learn how to play a banjo because it's completely different, like fret markings and stuff to play the chords.
And banjos are often double string too. So it's like 5, but it's actually like 10. So
and apparently they're popular in country and folk music for like its bright, twangy tone, which this song definitely has like that bright twanginess to it. That I like. Yeah. That was a new one for me. I'd never heard of a banjo before.
Nor have I. So, yeah.
There you know. There you go. Something new.
All right. Favorite lyric and rating. Well, here's my favorite lyric.
Goodbye, and we'll never know why.
I think the way that she sings that is just like devastating. It's very like whispered and soft.
It's very
and
sad.
Also, it's sad.
Yeah. You love a sad moment.
I sure do.
I mean, we both do.
We both do.
Yeah.
And I gave this a 9 out of 10. 9.0 out of 10.
Yeah. I also gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm interested to see how this song ages for me. Because right now I still love it. But, you know, the album's still fairly fresh. So check back with me in like a year or 5 years. But I feel like it has that like classic Taylor Swift vibe to it that means I'm probably going to continue loving it. It doesn't feel like of a specific moment in time.
Yeah.
It just feels like Taylor Swift. Yeah, I give it a 9, and then this is my favorite lyric.
And my advice is always answer the question. Better than to ask it all your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, just answer the question.
Moral of the story.
Right.
Yep. It's a good
How about
summary.
this song as a recipe?
I struggled with this. So I chose just like a sweet iced tea. To me, like, it's very Nashville. It's very Southern. Like, also for me in high school, like, they used to have tea cooler. Do you remember tea cooler?
Oh, yeah. From Turkey Hill?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Pennsylvania girlies know. But there was this like,
does anyone listening who's not from PA even know what Turkey Hill is?
Like, yeah. Okay. So Turkey Hill's like a local gas station? Slash, like, they make ice cream. They make drinks.
Yeah. My parents literally live by the Turkey Hill ice cream.
They're kind of like a central Pennsylvania staple, like,
yeah,
brand?
It's like a dairy brand /
drinks
gas station.
Yeah.
But they have teas.
Yeah.
They do ice cream.
And they must have had some sort of like agreement with all central Pennsylvania like schools because they had like lemonade. There was like an orange drink. And then there was something called tea cooler, which is basically an Arnold Palmer. It's like tea with lemonade in it. It was called a tea cooler.
Yeah.
I had that every day. Every day. So for me, that's like...
Your parents didn't make you drink milk every day at lunch?
No.
The only days that
I think we got it included. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure it was like included.
Oh, yeah. I had to buy milk every day for like 35 cents. But the days that pizza day, I would get a slice of pizza and like a peach tea.
So good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. I'd get me a chicken patty and a tea cooler. Okay.
Chicken patty.
So good.
Oh. Okay, for my recipe, I said salted dark chocolate brownies, and I have a recipe to link to from Butternut Bakery blog. But to me, I was like, okay, brownies are like very high school bake sale.
Yes.
Which is kind of the vibe of this song. But these brownies are like a little bit more intense. They're like a little extra bittersweet, and this song is like bittersweet. So it's like on the surface, you're like, ooh, it's a brownie. And then you bite into it. And it's like, whoa, this is kind of intense.
This is more intense than I thought. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that kind of fit the vibe.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. Like that picture I'm looking at.
That looks fudgy. That looks good.
Yeah. I want that with some Turkey Hill ice cream on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, if anyone knows Turkey Hill, chime in. All right, chime in. Okay.
Where are Turkey Hill people at?
Where are Central PA girlies?
Oh, man. All right, well, we did it. Another long episode for you guys. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
And our next episode will be actually romantic. We're halfway
messy
through Showgirl.
Yeah, which is crazy.
6 out of 12 in the bag.
Yeah, actually romantic is going to get messy, so...
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of tea cooler, we're going to get some tea on that one.
It's going to be a juicy one.
Yeah. And, as always, thank you for joining us, and make sure you're subscribing to the podcast. If you're not following us on Instagram or TikTok, we're at Blank Plate Pod. Make sure you're listening to us or viewing us on YouTube and giving us a follow there too as well.
You can check out our website at blankplatepodcast.com. Please send us an email at blankplatepod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail or text us at 717-382-8313 to share all of your Taylor thoughts, and just put us in your phone as a contact so when you have a thought, you can just text us.
For your Taylor friends, we'll respond back to you. Okay?
We will respond.
Yeah. And if you're enchanted by what we're doing here and want more, please make sure you're subscribing to our Patreon, which is linked in our show notes, or you can go there directly at patreon.com/blankplatepodcast.
And until next time, we had the time of our lives with you.
And it's time to go.
We hope you all had a great holiday season and Happy New Year.
Happy 2026, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.